lesser known and B movies. Only two men can give it the justice they deserve. The Tragedy of Cinema proudly presents I Can't Believe That Was a Movie, starring Jimbo and legendary co-host Art Toast. All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema, the I Can't Believe That Was a Movie series. I'm your host, Jimbo.
And I'm Art Toast.
Once again, you guys are in for another treat of a movie that my dad picked. Dad, would you like to tell the audience what you picked out to cover this week?
The Seven Faces of Dr. Lau.
Now, you say Lau, but he was like, whoa, in the beginning of the movie, so I was kind of...
Well, I heard both of them say it both ways in the movie.
The entire movie, so I don't know what it really is.
So you call him Lo, I'll call him Lau.
Whatever. So this was, I believe, written by Charles Beaumont. People that have listened to the podcast for a while now will know that Charles Beaumont was famous for what? Do you know?
That was Hugh Beaumont. That was not to be.
No, Charles Beaumont is famous for what?
He was a screenplay writer.
Yes, but what else?
I don't know.
He wrote several of the stories of the Twilight Zone, including The Howling Man, Static, and several others. And he also did this movie and also the movie The Mask of the Red Death, among others. So,
Vincent Price movie.
And you know, he died at the young age of 37. I was reading something where his had a brain disease where it aged him rapidly. So they think it might have been caused by spiral meningitis when he was a younger kid. So, and also, if you can hear this cricket in the background, we have been kicked to my dad's garage, aka the dungeon, because his next door neighbor is asleep in his studio. We have to be quiet after 10 o'clock. So if you hear some of that stuff, that's why we are out here, and we may sound a little like we're in a closet or something. So,
or we may sound better than normal.
Well, we may.
Well, one of us anyhow.
Well, yeah. So, Dad, before we get started, this movie features a lot of mythical creatures, if you will, with the Abominable Snowman. I guess it's the Loch Ness Monster. I guess it's Merlin the Magician from King Arthur's days. If you could see a movie made today of one of the mythical creatures from back in the day, not necessarily out of this movie, who would you like to see a movie made of?
Oh, let's see. And there've already been a lot of them made, but I think that the Cyclops, I know he's been in a lot of movies, the Jason Argonauts, I think, and one of the Sinbad movies. I've seen Cyclops in other movies before.
Yeah, like X-Men.
It's going to be one of them shows.
No, I think a Medusa, an origin story of Medusa, the snake-haired lady. I think that'd be a pretty cool one if they could pull it off right. Because nothing was better than that Medusa from Clash of the Titans, the original one. It scared me to death. So, well, let's dive into this movie and see what kind of stories you can pull out from your childhood from this movie. So, how old were you when you saw this movie?
I was probably...
Did you see it at the theater?
Yes, originally, yes. I was probably 10, I guess. Just guessing. It's one that you go back to time and time again.
Okay. So go ahead, take it away.
All right. The Seven Faces of Dr. Lau in 1964. It's about a mysterious circus that comes to a western town bearing wonders and characters that entertain the inhabitants and teach valuable lessons. It was release date on March 18th, 1964. The director was George Powell. The writer was Charles Beaumont, which we mentioned a while ago. And it's from a a novel called The Circus of Dr. Lau by Charles G. Finney. The composer was Leah Hartline. The cinematographer was Robert Bronner. And we'll get into the cast now. It's got a lengthy cast. I'm just going to give you a few of them for time's sake here. But Tony Randall played Dr. Lau. And a lot of the creatures throughout this whole thing, he portrays a lot of them, does a great job on that. He was also in Pillow Talk in 1959.
That's Doris Day.
With Doris Day. Now, some of you may not know, but my dad said he would have married Doris Day, but he met my mother.
You mean my grandma could have been Doris Day?
Yes. Barbara Eden played Angela Benedict, and she's most famous for the I Dream of Jeannie in 1965. Arthur O'Connell played Clint Stark. He was in 1959 Anatomy of a Murder. He was also in an Elvis Presley movie. You know which one? The old classic one, Follow That Dream.
Wherever that dream may lead.
All right. You want to do your Elvis impersonation
No.
here? John Erickson played Ed Cunningham. He was in Bedknobs and Broomsticks in 1971.
You ever saw that? You know who was in that, right?
Who?
Angela Lansbury.
Oh.
You know who that was?
Yeah, I know who she is.
Who is she?
I'm not... Well, which one you want to know? What was it? Murder, She Wrote. She was
Mrs.
Blue
Potts.
Hawaii in an Elvis Presley movie.
She was in Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast.
She'd say, "Oh, Chadwick."
See what you miss when you don't listen to this podcast. My dad giving his Angela Lansbury.
Oh, she drove me nuts. My mom loved Angela Lansbury.
Oh, yeah. Murder, She Wrote was like always on.
Oh, do you like that?
No.
I never was a Angela Lansbury fan. And so I always think of that when Blue Hawaii, because she'd always say to Elvis, "Oh, Chadwick, come to Mama." Anyhow, who are we on? Okay, we're to Noah Beery Jr., played Tom Mitchell. He was in 1974 in The Rockford Files. You know who played in that?
Mr. Rockford? I don't know. I've heard of it, but I've never watched any of it.
I got the wrong...
That was a TV show, right?
Yeah, I forgot who it was.
Well,
I started to say Tom Selleck. That was...
For those of you that don't know, my dad just took his medicine. Mom warned me that when we start this,
here
that
we go.
he might get a little out of control, so bear with us this episode. We just got back on a long drive. We went to go eat at a famous Monster Pizza here in about 2.5 hours away from his house. We just got back, so it's like 10:30 at night, so he may be in rare form.
All right. Then we have Lee Patrick. She plays Mrs. Howard Casson. She was in The Maltese Falcon in 1941. You ever seen that?
No, but that's on the short list of Kyle and I to cover.
How long is your short list?
About 15 pages, I think. So.
Then we have Minerva Erskine, played Kate Landquist, and she was in 1943 in a movie called The Ape Man. Have you seen that one?
Nope.
No? Okay. Now we're going to go to awards. That's something you haven't heard on this. Can't believe it's a movie. It was nominated for 1 Oscar and another one, and it got one win and another nomination. In 1965, the Academy Awards, it won an honorary Oscar for William Tuttle for his outstanding makeup achievement for The Seven Faces of Dr. Lau.
So it wasn't even a real one. It was an honorary one. That's like they pass out honorary doctorate degrees or something at college because you didn't do the work. You just, here, we feel sorry for you, take this.
Well, somebody passes out rotten tomatoes, right? I see it on my phone all the time.
You should have got at least the golden schmooze or something.
The schmooze? Oh, well, you guys come up with names you never even heard of.
I don't come up with anything.
I see them on, you guys doing on your regular podcast. This one here is far much better all the time. Anyhow, it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Effects and Special Visual Effects for Jim Danford. 1965 Hugo Awards, not only the Academy, but the Hugos, was nominated for Best Dramatic Presentation. George Powell, director. Charles G. Finney, based on the novel, and Charles Beaumont for the screenplay. Runtime's 100 minutes. Sound mix is mono. The color is color, Metro color. Aspect ratio 1.85 to 1. Process spherical. Printed format is 35 millimeter. And that's all I have. It's all the awards, which is far more than what we have seen. Got a lot more than The Wasp Woman did.
But we'll see if it was a better movie or not. So here we go. All right, Dad, take it away. This is yours. You're going to tackle the movie.
All right. The Seven Faces of Dr. Lau. It opens up at the very beginning. You see Dr. Lau riding on this donkey coming into town. And he stops and gets his pipe out. And
It's one of these long Chinese pipes, too. It's not just like a...
He strikes his thumb, and it lights up like a cigarette lighter, and he lights his pipe.
That's when I knew I was in trouble watching this movie. I said, is this a comedy?
What you got?
Is this a comedy?
It is. It's a comedy western / fantasy.
Okay.
It takes it all in. And so, right here, this here, him stopping, lighting his thumb to light his pipe, is what you call in showbiz a hook. It gets people immediately caught on to watch the rest of the show.
Oh, really? Or most people just get up and walk out.
He's riding into town. There's these men sitting on the porch, and they see him riding in, and they start pointing and laughing and saying.
And the one guy's chair tips over or something, I think. I was like...
So he parks his donkey up here by it's a print shop. And he goes into the print shop, and all this big old printing press thing's running and making a bunch of noise. And he's trying to get the man's attention over at the printing press. And the guy, he just can't hear him, and you don't even know he's there. So Dr. Lau performs some magic, and he stops the machine from running. And so he goes over, he sees Dr. Lau, and he goes over and he said, "Are you the manager?" And he said, No. He said, "He's busy." And Dr. Lau said, "I'll wait." So he goes over and sits down. In the meantime, a car pulls up in front of the print shop, and these three guys get out, and they come in and says, "I want to talk to the editor." I think he sees him, so they go over there and start talking to him. And so he says, "I want to talk to you about this article you read about me. It says that I'm I'm putting fear in the people, and I'm buying up their land and all this here." And they start butting heads about that a little bit. And so Ed, the editor there, he starts talking to him. He tells him, "Well, you better stop this." He says this town is drying up. It's going to be dead, and because there's no water. And this all come in effect later on in the show. And so they leave, and the editor sees Dr. Lau, and he goes there and he starts talking to him. And Dr. Lau's wanting him to print an article in the paper, plus make some posters and whatnot. And he said, "How much? How much?" And I don't think he said.
Because he said, "Do you just want to run a one day, half a page?" Or he said, "No, I want full page ads or whatever." And he's like, how about, he's just trying to make up some absurd, obscene amount of money because he doesn't want to. He's like, how about $50? And he's like, American? So he starts digging through his pockets. Coins are falling out. Papers.
He's got money everywhere.
Yeah.
And so he said, yeah, that'll do. And so Dr. Lau gets ready to leave, and he goes, turns back around and waves his hand, does some magic. Printing presses take off running again. And the printer asked him, said, what are you going to do with this? He said, well, he paid, we're going to print it. And so then Ed, the editor, he leaves and he goes over to the library where he likes the librarian, Miss Benedict. And he asks her, he makes some noise in there and people looking around. She's telling him to hush and he keeps talking loud. And he asks her to go out with him. And she says that she has no interest in going out with him. And so the scene changes and it's back at Miss Benedict's home with her mother. She's raising her son, Mike, by herself. And her mother's talking to him about Ed. He's been in town for a while. He's sort of new to the area. And he's single and good looking and stuff like that. And she has no interest in Ed. She calls him a drifter. And she sends her son to bed. And because she's getting ready to go to a town meeting. Well, the town's going to meet there and they're going to discuss this proposition they have. So we go to the town meeting and Ed shows up. And he's the newspaper editor. He's going to take notes and things. And Stark tells the townspeople how the town is dying. There's no water around.
So what, about 6 months left of water or something?
Yeah, that's that. And I forgot how far away the nearest water would be able to get. And it's dying. And he said, sell me your land or you guys are going to lose all your possessions. And meantime, he's telling all this. Dr. Lau walks in and he pulls out a chair and on the wooden floor, and he sits down and listens. And Stark tells him, he says, sell me your property. And Ed gets up and he makes a comment and he says, I don't think this town is dying. I said, we've lived here, these people lived here and it survived. And he had this Indian guy with him that had lived there way before they even settled there, and they lived and survived. And he said, we can do the same thing. And so they back in this and they decided to give him some time to think about it. And he tells them, I think, 2 days to think about selling their property to him or not. Mm-hmm. Is that good? Okay. And so the scene changes and the Indian guy has walked out. Ed had thanked him for coming that night. And he walks out and he goes walking down the street and two of Stark's men stop him and they push him down this alleyway and they start working him over, punching him in the stomach and hitting him. And about that time, Dr. Lau comes up and he points at him and one of them getting ready to punch him and points at him and he freezes. Another one starts to do something, he points at him and he freezes. And Dr. Lau walks around between him and the Indian and them two guys and he says, this town ain't big enough for both of us, partner. And so he blows on them and they fall off. So Dr. Lau and the Indian, they walk off.
And then he releases them and the guys get up and just start running because they don't know what happened.
Right, they're dumbfounded there. And so the scene changes and it's the next morning and Mike's riding on a bicycle delivering papers. Read all about it. Circus is coming to town. And it shows a lot of the community interacting. The one I picked to tell about this is a man and his wife sitting there having eating breakfast. And she's sitting there and she's got these like green curler things tied up in her head. She's reading the paper and she says, well, what in the world's a Medusa? And he said, well, it's this woman that's got these snakes in her hair. And he starts looking at her and he sees them things flopping around her head. And it says, if you look at her, he turns his head, you'll turn to stone. I thought that was pretty funny. And so we flash over to another scene, and Ed's going over there to the circus tent, and he wants to talk to Dr. Lau. And you see the Abominable Snowman. He's out there driving stakes and tent stakes in and putting the tent up. And when Ed gets to the tent, the Abominable Snowman sees him, runs up. I thought he looked pretty good. You didn't think he did look pretty good or not?
He's all right.
All right. He looked better than the Lost Woman.
No.
Oh, anyhow. And about that time, a puff of smoke comes, and here comes Merlin comes walking out.
Because the Abominable Snowman goes running off.
Right, and he appears.
Right.
And I think he done a magic trick, and then he takes... Didn't he take money out of his wallet or something, or paper? He tore them up and held them, and he
said, "What do you want the most?" or something, and he did it, and it became like a bunch of money.
Yeah, and it turned into money, and he gave him the money, and he said, "I don't want your money." He
said, "What money?" He looks back in the it's back to paper.
Yeah, and so you hear Dr. Lau coming around the tent, and so Merlin turns and a puff of smoke, and he's gone, and Dr. Lau turns up, and they start talking, and Dr. Lau ends up telling him, says, "Ed, you worry too much about all this." He says, "And you're looking at me, you thinking I'm a swindler. I'm here to swindle you people." He said, "Just believe in me as a friend of yours." And Ed looks at him and says, "Hey, you're speaking perfect English." And then all of a sudden, Dr. Lau, he starts speaking in sort of Chinese talking language on that. You got anything to hang there?
No.
Okay. Because we're getting ready to hang something here. The scene changes, and Mike sees Dr. Lau. He's got these posters, and he's putting all these nails in his mouth, and he's holding them up against the wall, and he's just spitting them nails out
and sticking the posters up.
Sticking the posters in like that. And Mike sees him doing that, and
it's like, "Tell me how to do that."
Yeah, he said, "No." And then he goes on down. They're talking, and then he starts doing them with his hands.
His thumb, yeah.
His thumb, just sticking them up there and pushing all the way in with his thumb. And he invites Mike and his mother and dad to come to the circus, but Mike tells him that his dad is dead. Mike says, I think he asked him how old he is, and Mike said, "I'm 8.5 years old." And Dr. Lau says, "Well, I'm 7,322 years old." Then the scene changes, and it's night at the circus. And the beauty of this here is they're gathering around, and it charges 50 cents for admission. When's the last time you've been to a circus? Have you ever been to a circus for 50 cents?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't have to pay anything. You may have to pay, but
Somebody pays. And so people's going into the circus and walking around. This lady, she goes into this fortune teller to have her fortune tell.
This lady's funny.
Yeah, she goes in there and she rattles off, and she tells him...
What's his name? Adolphnus or...
something like that. I just call him the...
Well, you didn't tell all the characters Tony Randall plays.
When
you
you
just
want
told
me-
him
when
Dr.
you
Lau.
want me to know
Yeah,
that.
tell him the people that Tony Randall's playing. Because it's one guy playing 7 people, supposedly. Do you remember where your cast list is?
Yeah, it's over here somewhere.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Abominable Snowman, Merlin the Magician, Apollonius of Tyana, and Pan, and it's got more in here. Medusa.
And the Abominable Snowman, yeah.
And anyhow, she tells him, she sits down there, and he says it'll be a nickel. And anyhow, he tells her that her husband had died, and the fortune teller, he said that your husband didn't die, he walked out on you. And she looks at him, funny, and he says, so she starts asking some questions. She said, "Will I strike oil on my land?" He says, "No." When shall I marry again?
He's like, "Never." And he tells her, like, he's like, I can't lie. I have to tell the truth. He's blind, too, for the record. So.
Yeah, he tells her, you'll never have no children. And he says, and you will be forgotten when you die. And she's crying and all this here and clearly upset. And he tells her that my curse is to tell the truth. And so she gets up crying a little bit and running out of the tent. And he goes and hears him tell when he's filling on the table looking for the nickel that she had left. She goes outside and she runs into Miss Benedict, had just come in and said, "Oh, I just come out. Don't go in there." But she said, and she told her everything the opposite that he had told her.
She's going to get married. She's going to hit a oil.
Yes. And so I think Miss Benedict's looking for her mother. She goes into this.
And this is where
tent.
This is where this movie goes really sideways for me, because above it says Pan, right? And she goes in through the tent and it drops. It says the God of Love, or the God of something. Was the God of Love?
Yeah.
And she walks in, and I guess the way I could say it is, if you've ever watched the Chronicles of Narnia or read the book, Mr. Timnis or whatever, what do you call him, the half man, half goat looking guys with the horns, but he pulls out this pan flute and he is playing this thing, and Mrs. Benedict starts getting hot and bothered, like he's
dancing around in circles,
swirling around. She's starting to sweat and getting all lovey-dovey.
So he's playing all that, and then I think Dr. Lau starts to come in there. Somebody was coming in because he stops playing.
No,
more people's coming in.
What's their name? Clark or whatever his name, and his henchmen come in, right? And they said, "Oh, look, it's half man, half goat." And that's when you finally see they shine the light on his feet, legs. And it's the goat legs, and she runs out.
Yeah, and her pan turns and goes back.
Yeah, but that scene right there, that whole 3 minutes or whatever,
it was too long.
It's rough,
the whole thing,
and that carries on throughout the night when she goes home too, and it's just like, what is going on here?
And so she leaves, and Clint and them, they leave, and then Clint goes into this tent and he sees this serpent, and he's looking at him, and they start talking. They start talking to each other, having this snake. But he says, "Don't I look familiar?" or something like that. And Clint's face,
he's got the mustache on the serpent.
It's on the serpent,
but it's Tony Randall's voice,
right?
Yeah.
But it's supposedly, I guess, whoever looks at him, they see themselves on this snake, which they have this conversation, and he's telling him, pretty much, you're a bigger snake than what I am. Mm-hmm. And so Clint gets out this cigars and starts smoking it and all that. And then when he gets ready to leave, he takes that cigar and he throws it, and it goes in the serpent's mouth, and he flips it around there, and he's smoking on that cigar. Then we go to another scene. A lot of our movies, they have scenes changes a lot, and a lot of them go back and forth. But this here's sort of in an order because it's going by more organized than the Wasp Woman bouncing back and forth to. Right. Well, I mean,
this is a circus, so you can believe that they're just going from room to room to room to
see how much smoother that runs. But the people sitting there, and the curtain opened up for Merlin the Magician. He said they're sleeping in this chair, and so he gets up and starts performing. I think he has a ball. He shows them a ball in his hand, and then all of a sudden there's 2 balls in his hand. And then I think a girl wants him to pull a rabbit out of her. Was it a popcorn
bucket? I think.
Yeah, a popcorn bucket.
He pulls out a guinea pig.
Well, yeah, he pulls out a guinea pig, and she said, "I wanted a
bunny rabbit,
a rabbit." And so he said, "Do you like flowers?" And she said, "I guess." And so he pulls his flowers out and starts throwing them to people in the crowd. He pulls more flowers.
He's throwing them in the ground. Remember?
Then he gives her one, and
then the vines start going up the side of the.
Yeah, well, first she said that I don't want flowers, or I don't like the flowers, or something like that. And somebody said it was a fraud or something. So that's when he does something, and the vines start growing up all the way around the the curtain rod, and flowers start blooming out.
And the one guy, the one heckler in the crowd's like, "Can you make a woman float in the air?" Whatever he does that about 6 times.
Them guys are pretty funny through the show because they're in each one of them have some.
Was that the same ones that were sitting at the front of the thing we rode into town? Yeah.
And so some of them start calling them a fake and all that, and people just start getting up and walking out. And so there's poor old Merlin there, but little Mike is still there. And he says, Merlin, I think you're the greatest magician there was and there is, and I liked it. And Merlin thanks him. He gives him he hugs Mike. And then the next scene we have is Dr. Lilebrain has a fish bowl with this fish in it. It's not only about 3 or 4 inches long,
maybe,
if that.
And I was telling Dad earlier, Dad had this fish that we named Gaka, which is what my kids call my sister, Aunt Gaka. And this fish started off probably 2 inches, and by the time that thing died, well, it died from shock from me changing the water when we removed it, but that thing was probably 18 inches long or something. The thing was huge. It wouldn't die.
So this could be.
It looks just like it. It's like a tiger barb or something. I don't know what kind was it. Something like that.
I don't know. It's striped.
But it's like it always has gas or something in the bowl too. But he says it's the Loch Ness monster, and that if you take it out of the water, even its head, it doubles its size every 10 seconds
till it reaches its full growth. Right. You'll have a giant sea creature. And of course, they all laugh at that.
They're like, "Well, pull his head out." He's like, "No."
And then we come to another scene, and it's the Medusa tent. And a lot of people crowding in there to see Medusa. And Dr. Lyle's there, and they got a big curtain up. And he said, "I've made this here where you can gaze upon Medusa without turning into stone through the mirror." The mirror. He had a mirror hanging up where you can actually see her face, but you're not directly looking into her eyes. And so there's Medusa and got these green snakes all swirling around.
Which is Tony Randall in makeup
is around. And this one woman... and
she's a good actress.
She said, "This is a disgrace. It's a pack of lies." And
she has that voice too. And I'll tell you when we get to the notes and trivia, her voice, you'll know what it is when I tell you.
And so she goes back there and pulls back the curtain and looks, and there's Medusa looking at her. Medusa's eyes glows, and all of a sudden she turns into
stone and falls over
and falls backwards. And everybody leaves the tent, and they're getting this guy's wife and dragging her out because she's a statue basically now. And then all of a sudden Merlin comes out, and he says some magic things and turns her back, and she's back to normal. And so she tells her husband that she's ready to go home, and so they leave. And so Dr. Lau comes out, and he tells them, "Come back tomorrow night for a big show."
The grand finale or whatever.
Yeah. And so that night, Mike comes back. I don't know how this boy gets out of the house all the time.
Or did he even actually go home?
Well, he may not. It's not shown, but he comes back to see Dr. Lau, asking him if he can join the circus. And he did a little magic trick with a coin or a rock or something. He said, "Oh, that's pretty good." And he tries to juggle, but he drops the rocks or balls or whatever he had. And he said, I want to be in your thing. He said, "But you got to think of Merlin." I said, "If you do magic better than Merlin, and Merlin think nobody wants him anymore and all this." And then he talks to him about life itself as a circus.
Everywhere you look is
everywhere you look. And so the scene changes, and Ed and his printing partner, they go back to the print shop, but Stark had sent a couple of his guys went over and they destroyed the printing press and tore up the whole print shop. And he said, "What are we going to do?" And Ed says, "We're going to go get drunk." So they walk off toward a bar.
But you see Dr. Lau in the background, or in the foreground, with his pipe or whatever. So he's seen him leave as it was destroyed.
Yeah, it's just a shadow of him.
Silhouette,
there. Yeah, silhouette. Is that what you say? Is that what you said? Silhouette? Okay. And so Ed and his partner, they come back to the print shop and
The next morning, they've been drinking the entire night.
Yeah, and they sober up, it seems like awful quick, though, when they get there, because everything is back as it was. And so they go in there and they print the paper. And so Ed gets the paper. He said, I'm going to deliver this personally to Stark. And, but on his way, he took the paper to Stark.
He was taking one to Lau, too, remember? He drove by on his motorcycle and Lau's sitting there fishing, right? Was that before or after?
That's why I'm confused. I think he went to Stark's first.
Did he?
And Dave was dumbfounded how they got the paper back there, because the guys said they know they destroyed it.
Boss,
everything.
we destroyed it real good. Nothing. We overturned everything, and everything was destroyed.
And then he goes to take Dr. Lau one and talk to him, and Dr. Lau sitting there with a fishing pole, fishing in a dry creek bed, and sitting there fishing. And Ed drives up, and they're talking, and Dr. Lau, he gets ready to leave or something. Dr. Lau, he got a bite on his pole, and his pole's bent, and he goes running around up on the bridge, and he pulls out this fish. And they know that there's something special about this guy.
Yeah.
Because the shop, he knows he had something to do with putting the shop back together and how things are just coming along. And now he's pulling out a fish out of a dry creek bed. I said bread. We can't hardly pull one out of a lake, let alone it's a dry one. So that night at the circus is the last night, and as Ed's getting ready to go in the tent, he runs into Miss Benedict, and they have a little talk, and there's a little bit of romance there. She's lightening up, and
But so the that night before, is that when she was in her bedroom and she hears the pan flute music going in? Yeah. She's like, that music, it just drives me crazy, and her mother-in-law can't hear it or whatever.
And all that's probably had his effect on with
her loosening up.
Her and Ed loosening up. And so she takes his arm, they end up going to the circus together. Well, Stark goes in to talk to this fortune teller, and the fortune teller tells him that there's a railroad going to be coming through their town in a year. And he says, well, who told you that? And he just knew, and he said, well, you ain't going to tell nobody, are you? And he said, I won't tell them.
And then he asked, do I win? And he said, yes. Or do I win tonight? And he said, yes.
And then we go back into the main circus part, and we have what I like to call a parade of the circus characters. And so they, all of them start coming out.
You've got the Abominable Snowman pushing a cart of like popcorn and everything, right?
Yeah, and one of them says, one of them wants a bag of peanuts. How much is that?
It's like 5 cents.
Yeah, and then somebody, what's popcorn?
It's free.
Popcorn free. And he starts throwing popcorn up.
But that was Lau that was doing that at the beginning.
Right.
But the Abominable Snowman was pushing an organ or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think. And then I think maybe Merlin came out next. They brought out the snake in a cage, somebody pushing it, and he goes by the... what's his name, Stark, and he looks at him and he sort of hisses at him, and of course Stark was putting another cigar in his mouth, and then
Medusa comes out.
They had a mirror rigged up where they could see her. The fortune teller comes out with he's blind and has a walking stick, and he walks into the wall, and one of the railings there, and one of his cowboys up and starts laughing. He's the only one laughing. He shuts up real quick.
And then this is funny because Lau comes out and he goes, "Oh, wait a minute!" And he goes out and he gets the fish bowl and brings it out and presents it and puts it back or whatever.
And now we come to this. It's a story of the fall of a city, and Lau makes this sort of like a big TV screen. It ain't a TV screen. It's like a fire with a picture in it, great big, and it just starts showing this city. It was called Boulderdan, and it's showing the people in the city and what they was doing, what was going on, but the people in that vision was actually the people in that town, and of course Stark was the bad guy in that, and it just showed everything going up there, and the city was going to fall, and a volcano erupts, and the lava comes flowing down, and people screaming, people are dying, and it starts to sort of fade to black, and as they fade into black, all the people in the circus, they bowed their head because they knew they'd seen themselves in that vision of the fall of that, and when it fades back up, all of a sudden they're in the town hall sitting there. The time has come for them to vote
if they're going to sell their property to Stark or not.
The mayor got up there and told them they was going to show of hands and things like that, which I mentioned to you earlier. The guy that plays the mayor in that was Sam Drucker in Petticoat Junction. I think he also played in Green Acres at the general store. You probably don't even remember Green Acres.
I remember Green Acres.
You don't remember Sam Drucker?
No, I wasn't that old.
You need to do a podcast on Green Acres. Anyhow, they take everybody wants to accept the offer. Show your hands. Raise your hand.
Well, did you notice Ed and what's her name? The girl. They both get up and leave because they think, "Oh, this is over."
Yeah, it's all over.
But only like 7 people raise their hand or whatever.
If there was even that many. Most of them Stark and his henchmen, and the mayor raised his hand.
And that one lady's like, "Oh," the one that said that she was going to die alone and nobody will remember you.
Yeah, she put her hand back down, didn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
And so they voted, and they decided that they would not sell to him. And so Stark gets up to tell them that he's had a change of heart now also through all of this, through the vision that they showed at the circus, and tells them that a railroad will be coming through. There'll be a railroad will come through in about a year, and we'll all have money. It's going to be okay. And so everybody's happy. All of a sudden, the doors blow open. Somebody said there's a dust storm, and people start leaving and going out the doors. And so everybody's going home, and scene goes back, and there's 2 clients, 2 of Clint's men.
Henchmen, yeah.
Yeah, were drinking at a bar, and they decided, well, we're going to go pay Dr. Lau a visit.
Because he basically ruined everything.
Right. And so they go into the tent, and they're hollering, and they got swords or knives or something cutting the tents down, and things are falling over, and the wind blowing, and all of a sudden they see
Mike's peeking in the curtain too.
Right, he sees them doing that again. Why ain't he at home?
Well, they were at a town meeting, so everybody was probably there.
A dust storm's come up. Everybody was going home. The Child Protection Agency would have a field day on that. They abandoned their child and left him at the circus. But anyhow, they look over there, and they're sitting on this little pedestal thing, the goldfish bowl with the sea creature in it. So a guy takes his gun out and shoots the bowl.
Fish bowl, yeah.
And it breaks, and that fish falls on the ground, and all of a sudden you see it wiggling, and it starts...
Well, doesn't it go to step on it or something, and it doubles in size right there?
Yeah, it just starts growing and keeps doubling. And now it's getting big. I mean, it's bigger than them now, and still getting bigger.
They pull out their guns and start trying to shoot it.
Yeah, I think he knocked his gun out of his hand.
Well, one of them just throws his gun at it too, I think.
But Mike sees all that, and he leaves. He goes to go tell Dr. Lau.
Who's like laying in bed or something, right?
Yeah. Anyhow, the men start running out of the tent, and the sea creature comes out, and the storm's blowing around. And so Mike runs to Dr. Lau's.
Dr. Lau, hurry.
Yeah, hurry. He's banging on the door. And he sees or hears, and Mike tells him what has happened. And so he has to go back in, and he gets this out of this case. It's called a rain-making machine. And he grabs that, and then he has to get his pipe. And so they go running and to find him. Meantime, this sea creature's chasing them guys through this storm. It was sort of funny on that. They probably didn't, the set wasn't big enough, but if you watched them how they was running.
Yeah, they were like.
It was sort of phony run. I guess it was overacting of like the wind was blowing them, but that wasn't very good right there. But
the monster actually grabs one of them.
Yeah.
Flings him around in his mouth for a while.
Yeah. Then Dr. Lau goes to set up the rain-making machine, and
he goes to light it with his thumb.
But the sea monster picks him up in his mouth.
And he drops the pipe that's lit.
And right, so this sea creature's got Dr. Lau up in the air, and he's kicking his feet and all this here. And meantime, Mike gets the pipe. Hey, it rhymes. And lights it, and all of a sudden this...
It's like a fuse on this thing, like a firework.
Right. And does it shoot something up in the air?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it starts raining. And as the rain's hitting the sea creature, it starts shrinking again. Now, here we have a sea creature that lives in water. Why is it making him smaller?
Or why was he out of water to double in size? Right?
It's because of the pressure. I think that was explained earlier in the show. But, of course, as he's starting to shrink, he drops Dr. Lau out of his mouth. And next thing you know, this 3-inch fish is flopping around the water, and Dr. Lau picks him up, puts him in his hat or something. And Dr. Lau says, well, that's showbiz. And so the next morning, the town goes to the circus to see Dr. Lau, but the circus is gone. Mm-hmm. And off in the distance, you see a little bit of dust, I guess like where the donkey or something was trying. Now, how he got all the tent and the people and things in that?
Well, it's like he told when they went to go to the circus, the second showing, she's like, it doesn't look that big from the outside. How does he stuff all this stuff inside of here?
So how does he do it?
Magic, it's showbiz.
But he's gone. And so Mike says, there he is, there he goes. And he goes running after him. Dr. Lau.
Take me with you.
I was telling Jimbo earlier that it reminded me of the old Western Shane. Shane, come back, Shane, come back. But when he gets up there, he's gone. The dust is gone. There's no Dr. Lau there. And he looks down on the ground, and there's 3 balls. And Mike picks them up, and he starts juggling the balls, and he starts screaming, Dr. Lau, I can do it. And then it shows Dr. Lau riding off into the sunset, and he's repeating this thing he had told Mike earlier in the show about how life itself is a circus, and it's all around you all the time, and you have the end.
All right, let me dive into some trivia real quick. Let me ask you this before I dive into this. Do you think the way Tony Randall handled being a Chinese person was okay? To me, it kind of reminded me of when Mickey Rooney played the guy in Breakfast at Tiffany's. And he said years later that really bothered him for his portrayal.
I think he did an okay job with it. That's me, but...
Right, but I'm just saying, do you think, I don't want to say blackface, but do you think the makeup and everything was okay? Like, made him look Chinese or Oriental, if you will?
Yeah, I do. Well, it wasn't necessarily his face per se, or if you're talking skin tone, or... I thought he looked pretty good because he had the beard and the ponytail and the hat and things. So I could easily identify what he was.
Okay, we'll move on.
Well, I'm sure you'll tell me.
But Tony Randall also appears without his makeup as a spectator in the audience of Dr. Lau's second circus show. Did you see him?
No.
You weren't looking for him, were you?
You probably wasn't either.
Do you know who the first choice to play Dr. Lau was?
No.
Peter Sellers. And they said that he was interested, but Tony Randall was $50,000 cheaper. So they said, we'll take him. Although it is now regarded as a classic fantasy film, this was a box office disappointment. Imagine that. When it was first released. It caused a 4-year gap before George Powell had his next film in theaters. It also marked that last time that Powell would direct. So, the Fall of City Spectacular that Dr. Lau presents at the grand finale of his circus contains much footage from an earlier George Powell production, Atlantis: The Lost Continent. Have you seen that?
I don't know if I have or not. I don't remember.
Oscar-winning soundtrack composer Lee Harline worked for Disney from 1932 to 1941 and wrote the music for some of the best-known Disney film songs, including When You Wish Upon a Star, I'm Wishing, Whistle While You Work, Hi-Ho, and Someday My Prince Will Come. So he worked on this movie too. So according to a story that appeared in Life magazine, Tony Randall had his head shaved for the part of Dr. Lau. When it was decided to have him appear in the audience as himself during the second show, they could not find a wig that looked like his natural hair. So they took a woman's wig and cut and styled it enough to get it by for the few seconds that he would appear on screen. Also, when Tony Randall shaved his head for the role of Dr. Lau, it made it easier to apply the makeup for the different characters he played. The studio publicity department wanted to photograph Randall getting his head shaved, but arrived at the barber too late. They had the makeup artist glue back his hair on his head so Randall could pose for photos while getting the haircut again. Before it became apparent the film was not a hit, George Powell told press he was planning a sequel with Tony Randall recreating his role.
There you go.
But that was before it was not a hit. According to a July 1962 Los Angeles Times item, Lawrence Harvey was set to play the Tony Randall role. Tony Randall related on the 1963 episode of Password that his next film was called The Circus of Dr. Lau, changed at some point before release to its eventual title of The Seven Faces of Dr. Lau. According to an article in Starlog magazine, it took 11 days to stop motion animate the segment where all the heads appear on the Loch Ness Monster at the end. That's what you forgot to tell the people that when the two little henchmen are looking, they like 6 heads pop out, and it's Medusa and the blind guy and all of them. So, if you look closely, the 3 wind-up toys on the piano at the entry to the circus, which is 33 minutes into the movie, one is Fred Flintstone, who would not exist for another 60 years after the era in the movie. George Powell originally wanted his Time Machine star, Rod Taylor, for the lead role. So George Powell did the Time Machine. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. He also done another one. I'm trying to think what it was. Anyhow, go ahead.
At 38:55, sharp-eyed viewers will spot the Wicked Witch of the West hourglass among the artifacts decorating Dr. Lau's circus tent. It's hanging on a post beside actress Lee Patrick and was most likely borrowed from MGM's prop warehouse. Here's somebody else that was considered to play the role of Dr. Lau. Do you think this guy could have done it? Dick Van Dyke. He's just crazy enough in my word.
Yeah, he could probably do it.
According to Ben Mankiewicz on Turner Classic Movie, Tony Randall only played 6 of the 7 faces. The Abominable Snowman was actually played by George Powell's son, Peter Powell, who was a bodybuilder. He played that role, but quote, but George understood show business and declared that it was Randall playing the Beast to make the septet complete. This was the debut of actress Peggy Ray. Tony Randall and Barbara Eden also starred together the same year in The Brass Bottle, a film which was a major influence on Barbara Eden's I Dream of Jeannie sitcom that would premiere the next year. The Kate/Medusa victim character, who was played by veteran actress Minerva Ursel. You remember the lady I told you about with that voice?
Yeah.
So her, along with Marjorie Main, was the inspiration for the voice of Witch Hazel. Do you remember Witch Hazel in the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes? The Green Witch?
Okay. Yeah.
And she looks just like her and sounds just like her, too. So, child actor Kevin Tate later appeared with Barbara Eden on I Dream of Jeannie and What's New Poodle Dog, the episode. Both John Doucette and Roy O'Dano appeared in Wagon Train, Rawhide, The Virginian, and The Big Valley, but never together. Tony Randall would lament on talk shows that whenever this film aired late at night, he would be reminded of the same one-line review in the TV listings of the New York Times. 7 Faces of Dr. Lau, starring Tony Randall and Barbara Eden. They're all Tony, and they're all terrible. And last but not least, this was not released in the UK until about 18 months after its American opening. So, Dad, let's hear your...
There's one part of trivia that I had read somewhere that, and they had a name for it, but there was a 2-headed turtle in it. I think I seen it. I didn't notice.
I saw the turtle there,
but I didn't notice the 2 heads.
Right. But
they said it is seen in it.
Right.
And speaking of 2-headed turtles, years ago, is that what we seen up at Wisconsin Dells?
I think so.
And they had a tank, and they had a bunch of full of 2-headed turtles in there.
It was Ripley's Believe It or Not. We went in.
Yeah, it was in Smokies, then, wasn't it? And they had a whole aquarium of these 2-headed turtles in there. But anyhow, that's not here nor there. Okay, my thoughts and comments on the 7 Faces of Dr. Lau. The story I thought was pretty good. I know Jimbo's going to go completely opposite on this, but him and Kyle and Eric, they all expect too much. But I like this. I like the circus, and I like mythical creatures and things like that. The acting I thought was pretty good. I thought Tony Randall done a good job in doing the parts. Special effects was pretty good with the just with all of the magic. I mean, who else can pull a fish out of a dry creek bed? And so this, and I looked up what other people have said about this earlier today, and most of out of 5 stars, a lot of them was, I think the lowest I seen was 3, and most of them was at 5, 4. And saying that this is a movie that they watched when they was younger. It's got a good value story to it. They remembered it, they liked it, and so they ranked it that high. I like this here, and again, it got some awards for something. And so based upon that and what we have watched thus far, I'm going to give out of 10 stars, I'm giving it a 7.
Is this something you will watch again?
Probably not for a long time if I do. Probably not. I got other things I need to watch. But I think I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times since I first seen it. It's sort of like if you know how you say I think it's you said you're walking through the house and Tombstone's on TV, you'll sit down and watch it. Was that you? Or maybe it was Jeremy.
I don't know.
Well, if you're walking through the house and 12 Angry Men was on, would you sit down and watch? I know what you sit down and watch. Willow,
every time. Yep.
Well, this is one of them movies, if you walk by your TV, there ain't nothing else, and hey,
So every time I come over, I can just cast it to your TV, and you're going to stop what you're doing and watch it?
Yeah, you got to watch it with me.
I'm sure Mom will be thrilled.
All right, Jimbo, let's hear your...
So I have tried to watch this movie several times before because you kept going, oh, it's good, you'll like it. Oh, it's good, you'll like it. When I think of stop animation motion, I think of, was it Roy Harryhausen or whatever his name is from Sinbad and Clash of the Titans and all that. So I don't think it was up to par with that stop motion. It looked like, especially like the Loch Ness Monster looked a little really fake.
Well, right.
But I don't know if this came out before or after that.
That's, again, the only really stop motion in it was with the sea creature.
Right.
In your Sinbads, and Jason the Argonauts, and things like that, you had more than just one clay animation. But
do you think it just would have cost too much money?
It might have been with all the other things going on there, but it didn't bother me that bad. Was it the best clay animation? No. Was it the worst? No. And so it was there. It gave the effect of what the show was trying to show.
The biggest part of this that I didn't understand was that whole pan creature. I mean, are you telling me that every person that went into that pan tent was going to get hot and bothered like she did? You could have took that guy out of there and still had a perfectly good story. You never really understood what happened with Mike's dad. They said he died, but they never explained why. You know what I mean? Like, was it scarlet fever? Was he killed in a gunfight? So you didn't... The connection... I mean, yeah, you felt for him because he didn't have a father, but the librarian lady, she was just... What's what I'm looking for? Like, she was also, I'm not interested in you, I'm not interested in you. Then all of a sudden she's interested in Ed or whatever his name was. And I don't know if that was because of the pan flute and pan or whatever. So I either wish they would have left the pan guy out or maybe gave a little bit more of his story. Like Merlin was on there a lot talking about, I'm 12,000 years old, or was it 400 and something, you kind of fleshed out. And with Merlin, most people know who Merlin is from, King Arthur, and he has more of, I guess, history, if you will, more of a classical character. This pan guy, he was just like...
Well, I think if you go and you look at the story that each one of the characters at the circus had something in common with the people of the town. The Stark went into the serpent thing. Both were a sign of evil, and the serpent told him, said,
"You're more of a snake.
You're more of a snake than I am." And so he sees himself for what he really is, because he's seen his face in the serpent's face also. The woman that went into the fortune teller, she was wanting happiness, a husband, riches, which she did not have, but the fortune teller told her exactly what she was, and he knew all about her anyhow, and he told her, you're not going to get married, you're not going to have kids, you're not going to get rich. People seeking different things.
So how does he see himself in her? Because you said that they had the same thing with the townsfolk.
Well, he's just telling her because he's telling her for what she really is.
But I'm saying, is that any portrayal of him too?
No, he's telling her what she really is because she's wanting all this other, saying this other. She's saying, I'm married, and he said, no, you ain't. And he didn't die. He walked out on you. And, well, am I going to strike oil on here? Because for some reason she thinks she's coming into money. He said, no. She said, when will I marry again? He said, never. You ain't never going to get married. These are things that she dreamed and had settled in her mind what's actually going to happen to her. And she made her to see reality in herself. No, it's a little bit deep for you.
What about the Medusa?
The Medusa was
That was the lady with the green things in her hair at the beginning, anyway, right?
Right.
So to me, if you like comedy and you like fantasy, it's a clean movie.
With a little western.
It's a pretty clean movie. So I don't hate it totally. I'd probably give it about 5.5 stars out of 10. It was okay. Tony Randall did fine. Like I said, that whole pan thing just threw me for a loop because I was like, he looked cool, but
It didn't have much.
but when he's playing that, he starts spinning like,
Man.
and she's getting dizzy.
It's
and
just-
starts unbuttoning her shirt and all that.
It was to get her to, and it works because her and Ed get together.
Right.
It's she's hiding emotions and of love and things like that. And I guess possibly because her husband had died.
Right. So, well, Dad, do you have the next movie that you are going to want us to cover?
No, we was going to do that coming home, and we never did we?
No, we didn't. So, be on the lookout. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We'll talk about it once we get off here, and we'll start playing on that.
He may give us a plug on one of his other second-rate Twilight Zone series, or him and Kyle.
I doubt it, but we'll see. So, with that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And
Did you almost drop it?
no, my hand went snacked it down to the